Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place where we tackle those big questions and really distill the insights from sources you share with us. Today, we are diving into a topic that, well, it touches every single one of us. Rethinking success beyond money and titles. It's that conversation, isn't it? The one we've all probably had with ourselves, maybe late at night, wondering what making it actually truly means. You know the drill? From, gosh, the moment we start school, we're often taught, maybe not explicitly, but implicitly, that success looks a certain way. You know, it wears a specific uniform, that corner office, the impressive bank account, maybe a prestigious job title, or those really tangible achievements that just shout, "I've made it." Our sources, they begin by laying out this traditional view quite clearly. It's often painted as this, like, relentless climb up a ladder, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Each rung seems marked by more wealth, a better title, or some public recognition like winning an award or closing a big deal. And this whole narrative of accumulation power, status, money, it's just so deeply ingrained. It shapes our goals, our life choices, often from a really young age.
We end up chasing these external markers,
Right.
believing that once we get them, happiness or fulfillment will just, I don't know, magically unlock. It becomes this never-ending pursuit of more, often driven by what society expects, and, let's be honest, constantly comparing ourselves to others.
And this is exactly where our deep dive really earns its name, because the materials we looked at immediately challenge that traditional perspective. They urge us pretty strongly to consider a far more holistic view of success.
What really stood out for you in the research there?
What was fascinating was the pronounced shift towards emotional, spiritual, and mental growth, seeing those as equally, if not more, valuable measures of success. It's less about what you've managed to acquire and far more about who you are as a whole person.
Yeah, that makes sense. This holistic lens, it sort of asks us to look inward, doesn't it? To assess our well-being, not just by the numbers in our bank account or the letters after our name, but by the richness of our inner lives. I found myself nodding along quite a bit as I went through the materials, especially around that contrast you mentioned. So throughout this deep dive today, we're going to explore this fascinating tension. What society often tells us versus what actually contributes to a truly meaningful life. We'll get into how healthy relationships with family and friends significantly shape our identity and the huge role community plays in personal success.
And including those warning signs, right? If relationships get neglected when you're chasing a career or money.
Exactly. Because we've all seen that happen, or maybe even experienced that imbalance ourselves. We'll also unpack different ways, hopefully healthier ways, of handling stress and pressure. Moving from those common unhealthy coping mechanisms, like substance abuse, overeating, maybe workaholism,
Yeah, the usual suspects.
towards more constructive strategies. Things like mindfulness, exercise, therapy, and crucially, setting clear boundaries. And finally, we'll look at some practical action steps for actually redefining success for yourself. Think journal prompts, simple daily practices to nurture that emotional, spiritual, and mental well-being.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, our mission today is really to give you a shortcut to being well-informed on this vital subject. We want to help you understand not just what success can mean, but why these alternative perspectives are, frankly, so crucial for a fulfilling life.
It's about giving you the tools, the framework maybe, to genuinely rethink and redefine what success looks like for you. Moving beyond those external pressures and societal norms to embrace something more integrated, more personally resonant.
Yeah, building a life that truly reflects your own values and brings you deep, sustainable satisfaction. Not just chasing some predefined ideal that might not actually serve your well-being in the long run.
Okay, let's really dig into this idea then. What constitutes success? We've touched on the traditional view, the wealth, the titles, the big achievements. And those things are easy to measure, aren't they? You either hit the sales target or you don't. Get the promotion or not.
Right, very black and white.
But I was struck by how our sources challenge the ultimate value of those metrics. You hear about it a lot. Many high achievers, after reaching what they thought was the pinnacle, report this surprising emptiness. The very thing they chased turned out to be less fulfilling than they expected. Did the research offer specific reasons for this post-achievement dip?
Absolutely. There was one compelling study that highlighted what they called the hedonic treadmill effect. Heard of that?
Vaguely, yeah. Remind us.
Well, it basically suggests that once we achieve a goal, get the promotion, buy the house, our baseline level of happiness pretty quickly returns to what it was before. The initial excitement, the thrill, it fades. And then we're left searching for the next external achievement to get that feeling back.
Okay. The treadmill. constantly running but staying in the same place, happiness-wise?
Exactly. The materials painted a really vivid picture of someone, let's call him Alex, sort of composite character based on several case studies. He's a tech founder, massive IPO, everything he thought he wanted. And then he finds himself asking, okay, is this it? Is this all there is?
Wow, that's sobering.
It is. And that's where the holistic view offers such a powerful counter-narrative. The sources really underscore that true success includes things like emotional intelligence, spiritual growth, mental well-being, things that are internally sustained. They're just less susceptible to that treadmill effect.
Okay, so let's explore those internally sustained aspects, starting with emotional intelligence. It's a term we hear constantly. But what specific insights did the research offer that go beyond just, managing your feelings?
That's a great question. Because the sources didn't just define it, they uncovered a really surprising correlation for high performers. One study we looked at showed that top-performing teams weren't just smarter, cognitively speaking. They had a 40% higher emotional resonance score.
Emotional resonance, what does that mean in practice?
It meant that leaders were skilled not just at understanding the team's mood, but actively shaping it, creating an atmosphere that fosters innovation and psychological safety. So it's less about just keeping your own cool and more about interpersonal influence, reading the room, understanding unspoken cues, guiding interactions positively.
Okay, so it's a much more active, outward-facing skill than just self-management.
Definitely. This kind of success isn't loud or flashy, it's quietly transformative. It impacts the quality of your daily interactions, your overall peace of mind. For someone like our Alex, this meant learning to build a team where trust and open communication were valued just as much as technical skill, rather than just telling everyone what to do.
And when we talk about spiritual growth, the materials extended this way beyond just religion, didn't they? I think many people hear spiritual and immediately think faith. But the sources presented something much broader.
Exactly right. Our research consistently linked spiritual growth to what one expert called purpose-driven altruism. This isn't just, volunteering now and then. It's about aligning your daily work, your life choices, with a deep-seated belief in contributing to society or pursuing personal meaning beyond just material gain.
How does that connect to success, though?
Well, the articles show that this path leads to a really profound reduction in burnout, even in incredibly demanding jobs. For Alex, after his IPO, it was exploring how his wealth could genuinely impact the world. He shifted from purely profit-driven goals to investing in sustainable initiatives that really resonated with his evolving values. It's that fundamental shift, from what can I get to what can I contribute or what truly gives my life meaning.
That inward journey strengthens your core, makes you less likely to be swayed by what others think or the latest trends.
Precisely. It builds internal resilience.
And then there's mental well-being. For many in our audience, probably high achievers, this can feel like just another task to optimize, another thing to be good at. But the sources had a more nuanced take here too, didn't they?
They absolutely did. Beyond just general stress management, our sources highlighted specific applications for high achievers, particularly something called focused attention meditation.
Okay. Meditation, we hear about that a lot for stress.
Right, but this practice isn't just for relaxation. It's actually a tool for enhancing your attentional control, especially when you're facing complex decisions. It helps leaders avoid analysis paralysis by teaching them to intentionally disengage from those non-essential thought loops, the mental chatter, so they can sharpen their focus when it really counts.
That's interesting. So it's about training focus, not just chilling out.
Exactly. When you prioritize your mental health in this way, you're investing in your capacity to adapt, to problem solve, to maintain perspective. All hallmarks of a truly sustainable and successful life. And the interplay of these three, emotional, spiritual, and mental well-being, creates this robust sense of self that can withstand external pressures and cultivate genuine contentment.
Now, this internal cultivation, the emotional, the spiritual strength, as our sources argue really powerfully, it isn't something you just do in a vacuum, right? In fact, it seems like the health of our external connections often underpins and validates that inner journey. The research really emphasized wellness and relationships. How do healthy connections with family and friends actually shape our identity so significantly?
Oh, it's absolutely fundamental. Think about it. Our earliest interactions, usually with family, teach us about love, trust, boundaries, the basics of relating. Then friends come along and provide these vital mirrors, reflecting parts of ourselves back to us, offering support, challenging us to grow. These connections are literally the bedrock upon which our sense of self is built.
They offer belonging, support in tough times, shared joy.
Exactly. Plus, perspective, empathy, and that crucial sense of being seen and understood, all essential for a robust identity. Our sources were crystal clear. These aren't just nice to haves, they're foundational for holistic well being.
And the explicit mention of community and personal success was also really interesting. That provides a layer beyond just those individual relationships, doesn't it?
It really does. Community offers a sense of collective purpose, a shared identity, mutual support that goes beyond one-on-one connections. Whether it's a neighborhood group, a volunteer organization, even a professional network done right, being part of a community combats isolation, it fosters a feeling of contribution.
Gives you a broader context for your own life.
Yes, and allows you to contribute to something bigger than yourself. It creates this ripple effect that benefits everyone involved. The success of an individual, when you look at it through this holistic framework, is often just inextricably linked to the strength and support of their surrounding community.
Which brings us to a pretty stark warning embedded in the research. The danger of neglecting relationships in the pursuit of career or money. This is where that traditional view of success can become genuinely damaging. Did the sources offer any specific, maybe even poignant examples of how this neglect shows up?
They did, and it's quite sobering, actually. The sources didn't just talk about strained relationships in the abstract. They illustrated it through this powerful example of what one article called the ghost CEO.
The ghost CEO. Tell me more.
It was a composite, like our Alex, but representing leaders so utterly consumed by acquisition targets or market dominance that their families described them as being a present absence for years. Physically there, maybe, but mentally, emotionally, completely checked out. And it often led to some kind of crisis point, eventually a child acting out or having a breakdown, a partner issuing an ultimatum, or just this profound sense of isolation, even after achieving a massive financial win.
Wow. So these aren't just subtle shifts. They're significant erosions of that foundational support we were just talking about.
Absolutely. The relentless pursuit of those external markers often come at the direct cost of time and emotional investment in loved ones. The warning signs start subtly, don't they? Missed family dinners, putting off calls with friends, feeling constantly too busy for connection. But these escalate and ultimately lead to genuinely strained relationships or that deep feeling of loneliness even when surrounded by success.
That raises a critical question. If we prioritize external achievements over our human connections, what's the ultimate long-term cost? It sounds like a trade-off many people don't truly understand until it's maybe too late.
Precisely. The sources really imply that this neglect leads to a fundamental imbalance. It undermines the very emotional and mental well-being we identified earlier as being integral to holistic success. The short-term gains of a promotion or a higher salary often just cannot compensate for the long-term emotional deficit created by severed or badly strained relationships. The research showed again and again that the deepest wells of fulfillment are found in the quality of our bonds, not the quantity of our possessions.
Right. For Alex, the moment of reckoning wasn't losing money, but realizing his huge success felt hollow without genuine connection.
Exactly that.
Okay, moving on slightly. Our deep dive also tackles the critical area of handling stress and pressure, which is, let's face it, an unavoidable part of life, no matter how you define success. Our sources highlighted some common unhealthy coping mechanisms, and it feels important to recognize these. What were some of the most prevalent ones they identified?
Well, the patterns are unfortunately pretty clear and often self-defeating. Things like substance abuse, excessive alcohol, other drugs they offer a temporary escape, sure, but create far bigger problems down the line. Overeating is another common one. People trying to soothe themselves with food, which leads to physical health issues, emotional guilt.
In workaholism, ironically.
Yes, which can stem directly from that traditional pursuit of success. People just immerse themselves in work to avoid dealing with other stressors, or maybe just to feel some sense of control. But these mechanisms just create a vicious cycle. They offer fleeting relief while making the underlying issues worse, ultimately undermining both physical and mental health. The materials consistently showed these as paths to greater suffering, not lasting solutions.
Okay, so if those are the traps to avoid, what do the sources present as constructive, sustainable strategies for navigating stress?
What's truly insightful here is the clear contrast the sources draw with constructive coping strategies. Instead of avoiding or numbing the stress, these strategies actually help you process and manage it effectively. Mindfulness, for instance.
We touched on that briefly.
Right. It's about bringing your attention to the present moment, but without judgment. This practice often through meditation, helps you observe your thoughts and feelings without getting totally overwhelmed by them. It fosters calm and clarity. And for high achievers, like we mentioned, that focused attention meditation isn't just for stress reduction, it's for enhancing attentional control, avoiding that analysis paralysis. It builds a mental muscle, allowing thoughtful response over impulsive reaction.
And we really can't overlook the power of physical activity either. It's so fundamental.
Oh, absolutely. Exercise is just a fantastic, natural stress reliever. Releases endorphins, improves mood. It can even act as a kind of moving meditation, helping clear your mind. Regular physical activity isn't just about physical health, it's a vital component of mental and emotional resilience.
Yeah, and therapy.
Yes, therapy too. It offers a safe space to explore challenges, develop coping skills, gain new perspectives with a professional guide. For many people, especially those used to fixing problems with clear goals, therapy can feel a bit abstract. But our sources actually dug into why approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, are so effective here. Because CBT directly challenges those deeply ingrained thought patterns that link self-worth only to external achievements. It offers tangible tools for cognitive restructuring.
That makes sense. And finally, setting boundaries. It sounds so simple, yet it's often the hardest thing, isn't it? Especially in demanding jobs.
It really is. But it's such a crucial, though often overlooked, constructive strategy. It involves clearly defining limits, personal, professional, to protect your time, your energy, your emotional well-being. It could mean saying no to extra work commitments sometimes, or dedicating specific protected time to family, or simply recognizing when you need a break and actually taking it.
It's not just about saying no then.
Not at all. It's about proactively designing your life to prevent that slow creep of erosion of well-being that our sources show is so common among high achievers. Maybe it means scheduling unplugged weekends, or even having a standard email response for after-hours requests not out of rudeness, but out of a commitment to sustainable performance and well-being. Adopting these constructive strategies is about taking proactive control, moving from being reactive to stress to being more empowered and intentional in managing life's pressures.
So after exploring all these deeper dimensions of success, how do we actually apply this? Our deep dive wouldn't be complete without some actionable steps for redefining success in your own life. One powerful tool the sources suggested is using journal prompts, specifically asking yourself, okay, what does success look like to me beyond money and titles? And this isn't just a casual question, is it? It's an invitation to some deep introspection.
Absolutely. Take the time to actually write down your thoughts, unfiltered. Does success mean nurturing a creative passion, spending more quality time with loved ones, learning a new skill purely for joy, making a meaningful impact, however small, in your community? By articulating these ideas, you start to build a personal roadmap, one that reflects your true values, not just society's default settings.
And beyond reflection, the materials also highlighted the importance of simple daily practices to nurture that emotional, spiritual, mental well-being. These aren't grand gestures, but small, consistent efforts, right?
Exactly. Consistency is key. For emotional well-being, maybe it's a daily check-in. How am I actually feeling right now? Or expressing genuine gratitude to someone. For spiritual well-being, maybe it's just 5 minutes of quiet contemplation, or spending time in nature without your phone. And for mental well-being, perhaps reading something enriching, doing a puzzle, or just taking a short walk outside to clear your head during the workday. The power lies in their consistency. They build a cumulative effect over time. Even Alex, in our earlier example, reportedly started with just 5 minutes of mindful breathing each morning, and apparently it completely shifted his perspective over a few weeks.
Building that support system is another critical action step. As we discussed, relationships are absolutely key here. This means actively cultivating and maintaining connections with people who uplift you, who challenge you constructively, who provide that safety net.
Right. It might involve joining a club or group, reconnecting with old friends you've lost touch with, or intentionally strengthening bonds with family members. These are the people who will celebrate your genuine successes, the holistic ones, and stand by you when you face challenges. They reinforce that you're not alone on this journey.
And finally, a mindset shift. Our sources suggested reframing failures as learning opportunities. This feels crucial, especially for those maybe accustomed to those traditional outcome-driven metrics where failure feels like the end of the world.
It's a huge shift. In the conventional view, failure is often seen as an endpoint, something to be avoided at all costs. But from a holistic perspective, every setback, every mistake, every unexpected detour offers valuable lessons. It's about cultivating resilience, understanding that growth often comes directly from overcoming obstacles, and then using those experiences to inform your future decisions. It shifts the narrative from "I failed" to "Okay, what did I learn?"
Which is fundamental to long-term emotional and mental growth. Allows you to keep taking risks, keep innovating, keep evolving. So we've journeyed through what it truly means to rethink success, really moving beyond those conventional definitions of just money and titles. We've seen how our sources highlight the richness that comes from embracing emotional intelligence, spiritual growth, healthy relationships, and personal well-being as core components of a genuinely successful life.
It's a powerful shift, isn't it? From focusing on external validation to cultivating internal fulfillment.
Definitely. And we also explore the critical role community plays in shaping our identity, the warning signs when we neglect those vital connections, and the stark contrast between unhealthy coping mechanisms and constructive strategies like mindfulness and boundary setting. The insights shared offer concrete action steps too. From those journal prompts helping you define success on your own terms, to simple daily practices for nurturing your overall well-being, it really is about intentional living, about proactively designing a life that truly satisfies you.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? As you reflect on our deep dive today, maybe consider this provocative thought. If success isn't merely a destination marked by external achievements, but an ongoing journey of growth, connection, and well-being, what single small step could you take today to lean into a more holistic definition of success for yourself? It doesn't have to be monumental, just one conscious choice perhaps to prioritize your inner world or your connections with others. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into rethinking success.